It's finally here, the long-awaited fight between Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 319. On this card we have a total of 15 fights, and for all but one we will go over all the picks and method of victory predictions that have been made by the YouTube Prediction Channels, and hopefully find some profitable betting spots where the Oddsmakers and the YouTube Prediction Channels disagree. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started with the first fight of the night. The first fight of the night is between Alibi Idiris and Joseph Morales for the Ultimate Fighter 33 flyweight title. Alibi Idiris is the big favorite with minus 345 in average odds, and with plus 245 Joseph Morales the underdog. Alibi is also a huge favorite in picks by the Tapology Community with 94%, and most are expecting he will win this fight by a KO or TKO. And he's also a big favorite in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels. 54 out of 57 for 95% have picked him to win. And the best predictors, the best favorite predictors and the best underdog predictors over the first 6 months of 2025 all go with Alibi Idiris. And just a quick recap, the best predictors over the last 6 months are highlighted in green. The channel names highlighted in dark green had a return on investment of 5% or more, and the ones in light green under 5%. The best favorite predictors shows the prediction channels that had the highest return on investment with their picks on favorite fighters in odds. And the best underdog predictors shows the channels who had the best results with their picks on underdog fighters only. For method of victory predictions, we have 15 channels predicting a KO or TKO win for Idiris. 3 channels go with the submission win, and for decision win we have 17 channels for Idiris, and for Morales 3 channels. For this fight there were no method of victory odds available. For the second fight we have another Ultimate Fighter finale, but this time for the welterweight division between Rodrigo, Sezinando and Daniil, Donchenko. And I have no idea if I said that correctly. For this fight I could not find any odds, so I put them both on minus 110. When I made this screenshot it was also brand new on Tapology and only 6 people made a pick, but they all had Donchenko. 16 YouTube prediction channels made a prediction on this fight, and 3 of them the whole crew of Bros Talk MMA for Rodrigo Sezinando, and the other 13 channels all picked Daniil Donchenko. So far he looks to be the favorite and probably also is the favorite in odds. None of the best predictors made a pick on this fight. The best favorite predictors have a 2 out of 2 for Donchenko, and the best underdog predictors 3 out of 4. For method of victory for this fight we have 6 channels going with a KO, TKO for Donchenko, and 3 of them predict a decision win for Donchenko. Also for this fight there were no method of victory odds available at this moment. The next fight is in the women's flyweight division between Karine Silva and Dione Barboza. Karine Silva is the favorite with minus 220 in average odds, and Dione Barboza the underdog with plus 175. Silva is a very big favorite in picks by the Tapology Community, although she's not such a big favorite in odds. 91% of them predict that she will win this fight via a decision mostly. She's not such a big favorite in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels with 57 out of 79 for 72%. But the best predictors over the first 6 months of 2025, like Karine Silva, 6 out of 7 pick her to win, and the best predictors on favorite fighters only pick the favorite Karine Silva 8 out of 8 for 100%. And the underdog, Dione Barboza, is picked by the best underdog predictors 2 out of 8. For the method of victory predictions, we have 1 channel going with a KO TKO win for Silva, 3 a submission win, and 33 channels go with a decision win for Silva, and 11 for Barboza. Up next we go to the middleweight division for a fight between Bryan and Nursulton Ruziboev. Bryan is the slight favorite with minus 170, and Nursulton Ruziboev the underdog with plus 140. So in odds it's pretty close. And it's also close in picks by the Tapology Community. 60% pick Battle to win, most think by a decision, and 40% for Ruziboev, and most also predict a decision win. But it gets even closer in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels. 46 out of 86 go with Bryan, making him a slight favorite for 53.5%. What do the best predictors have to say? Well, they also have Bryan as the favorite with 5 out of 8. But he's not the favorite by the best favorite predictors and is picked 4 out of 9. And the underdog, Ruziboev, is picked by the best underdog predictors only 2 out of 9. For method of victory predictions, we have 5 channels going with a KO TKO win for Battle, and for Ruziboev we have a total of 13 channels going with a KO TKO win. Although the odds are almost the same with a plus 500 for Battle and a plus 450 for Ruziboev. In picks, Ruziboev is the favorite with a KO TKO win and is picked almost 3 times more. 0 channels picked the fighter to win by submission, and for a decision win we have 28 channels for Bryan battle and 8 channels for Nursulton Ruziboev. The next one is in the lightweight division between Edson Barboza and Drakkar Klose. And like many other fights on this card, this one is also pretty close in average odds. Barboza is the slight favorite with minus 145 and Klose the small underdog with plus 120. Barboza is a pretty big favorite in picks by the Tapology Community with 76%, and most are expecting he will win this fight via decision. And also most of the YouTube prediction channels pick Barboza to win with 62 out of 86 for 72%. And he is a big favorite in picks by the best predictors with 7 out of 8, and the best favorite predictors have it 7 out of 9. And the best underdog predictors pick the underdog Drakkar Klose 3 out of 9. For method of victory predictions, we have 19 out of 53 channels picking Barboza to win by a KO TKO and 1 channel for Klose. 1 channel picks Barboza to win via submission, and for a decision we have 19 channels for Barboza and 13 for Klose. If you enjoy the content and find it helpful or informative, then don't forget to like this video or subscribe. Thank you so much. Opening up the prelims, we have a fight in the lightweight division between Chase Hooper and Alexander Hernandez. And Chase Hooper is the biggest favorite on this card with only minus 325 in average odds. And I say only because compared to other cards over the last few weeks or months, the biggest favorite was usually in the minus 600 range or higher, which tells you a lot about this card. And it looks like the matchmaking has been pretty good for this one. In picks by the Tapology Community, Hooper is a huge favorite with 94%, and most are expecting he will win this fight via submission. And we see the same results in picks by the YouTube prediction channels, and Hooper is picked by 79 out of 85 channels for 93%. And the best predictors all agree. He's picked 8 out of 8 for 100%, and also the best favorite and underdog predictors pick him 100%. For method of victory predictions, we have 1 channel predicting a KO TKO win for Hooper and 1 for Hernandez. But most of the channels go with a submission win for Hooper. 38 out of 51 pick him to win by submission. And for a decision win, we have 10 channels for Hooper and only 1 for Hernandez. When we compare the odds with the picks, we see something interesting. The odds makers have the most likely outcome, a decision win for Hooper with plus 170. And after that, a submission win with plus 190. But the most likely outcome, according to the prediction channels, is a submission win, which is picked by 38 channels, almost 4 times more than a decision win. So, a big difference here between the odds makers and the prediction channels. The next fight is in the women's strawweight division between Jéssica Andrade and Lupita Godinez. Godinez is the slight favorite with minus 150 and with plus 125 Jéssica the underdog. Godinez is also the favorite in picks by the Tapology Community with 73%, and most expect that she will win this fight via decision. And the YouTube prediction channels also have her as a favorite in picks with 61 out of 86 for 71%. All 8 of the best predictors go with Godinez. The best favorite predictors have it 8 out of 9, and the best underdog predictors go with Jéssica Andrade, the underdog, 3 out of 9. 3 out of 51 channels that made a method of victory predictions pick Andrade to win via KO or TKO. We have 2 channels predicting a submission win for Godinez, but as in most women's fight, most predict a decision win. And 11 channels have a decision win for Andrade, but the majority of the channels go with the decision win for Godinez with 35 out of 51 for almost 70%. On this card, a brand new fight has been added between Baisangur, Susarkayev and Eric Nolan. But only a few channels made predictions for this fight so far. So few that it's not worth to show. But I will keep tracking predictions for that fight and all the other fights on this card. And you can get access to those daily updates by becoming a member on Patreon or buy me a coffee. Links can be found in the video description. For the next one, we go to the middleweight division between Gerald Meerschaert and Mikhail Olicejcek. Mikhail Olicejcek is the favorite with minus 235 and with plus 185 Gerald Meerschaert the underdog. In picks by the Tapology Community, Olicejcek is a pretty big favorite with 74%, and most predict he will win this fight via KO TKO. and we see the same results in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels. And Oli Cejcek is picked by 65 out of 87 channels for 75%. But the best predictors over the last 6 months have Gerald Meerschaert as the favorite with 5 out of 8. And the favorite fighter in odds, Mikael, is picked by the best favorite predictors only 4 out of 9. And the underdog, Gerald Meerschaert, is picked by the best underdog predictors 5 out of 9. For method of victory predictions, we have most channels 42 out of 56 for 75%, predicting a KO TKO win for Oli Cejcek. 12 channels go with a submission win for Meerschaert, and we have 1 channel for each fighter going with a decision win. For the future prelim, we have a fight in the lightweight division between King Green and Diego Ferreira. And again on this card, we have a close matchup in odds. Diego Ferreira is the slight favorite with minus 155 and with plus 130 the underdog King Green. Although this fight is really close in odds, in picks by the Tapology Community, Ferreira is a big favorite with 79% and most expecting he will win this fight by a KO or TKO. But when we look at the prediction channels on YouTube, Diego Ferreira is even a bigger favorite. And he is picked by 79 out of 87 channels for 91%. And all of the best predictors and the best favorite predictors pick Diego Ferreira to win. So in picks it doesn't look so good for King Green, but the best underdog predictors have picked King Green 3 out of 9. So they still have some faith in King Green. Most of the YouTube prediction channels predict a KO TKO win for Diego Ferreira with 39 out of 51. 1 channel has a submission win for him, and 3 channels predict a decision win for Ferreira, and 8 channels a decision win for King Green. And what's pretty interesting when we look at the odds, a King Green decision win has odds of plus 245 but is picked by only 8 channels, and a KO TKO win by Ferreira has odds of plus 210 but is picked by 39 channels, which is almost 5 times more than the 8 picks for a decision win for King Green. Opening up the main card, we have a fight in the flyweight division between Tim Elliott and Kai Asakura. And Kai Asakura is the big favorite with minus 315 in average odds, and Tim Elliott the underdog with plus 245. With 92%, Kai Asakura is the big favorite in picks by the Tapology Community, and most predict he will win this fight by a KO or TKO. And also the YouTube prediction channels have him as a big favorite with 79 out of 92 for 86%. And all of the best predictors and the best predictors on favorite fighters in odds pick him to win for 100%. And the underdog Tim Elliott is picked by the best underdog predictors only 1 out of 9. For method of victory predictions, most of the channels go with a KO or TKO win for Asakura for 34 out of 55 or 62%. We have 4 channels predicting a submission win for Tim Elliott and also 4 channels picking Tim Elliott via decision. And finally, we have 13 channels going with a decision win for Asakura. And when we look at the odds for Asakura for a KO TKO win or a decision win, we see that it's basically even. Plus 150 for a KO or TKO win and plus 145 for a decision win. But in picks by the YouTube prediction channels, we have 34 channels going for a KO or TKO win and only 13 channels for a decision win. So, pretty big difference between the odds makers and the prediction channels there. The next fight on the card is in the middleweight division between Jared Cannonier and Michael Venom Page. With minus 200 in average odds, Michael Page is the favorite and Jared Cannonier the underdog with plus 160. 80% of the Tapology community predict Michael Page to win and most predict a decision win. 70 channels out of 91 predict Michael Page to win for 77%. So overall, a pretty big favorite in picks. But he's even a bigger favorite in picks by the best predictors and the best favorite predictors. Both have him 7 out of 8. And the underdog, Jared Cannonier, is picked by the best underdog predictors only 1 out of 9. For method of victory predictions, we have 2 channels predicting a KO TKO win for Cannonier and 9 channels for Michael Page. Not a single channel picked a submission win for either fighter. And for a decision win, we have 8 channels going with Cannonier. But most of the channels go with a decision win for Michael Page with 35 out of 54 for 65%. Want to stay ahead with the latest picks, odds and stats for all fights while supporting the channel? Consider becoming a Buy Me a Coffee member or a Patreon supporter. After this video, every Friday and Saturday I update the latest stats with newly added picks from all UFC prediction channels, the best predictors and the most profitable favorite and underdog predictors. Updated odds. Track how the betting lines shift daily. Tapology stats. See if the MMA community's picks are changing. Support the channel and get exclusive daily updates. Links are in the description. I'd really appreciate it. The next fight is in the welterweight division between Jeff Neal and Carlos Prates. With minus 240, Carlos Prates is the favorite, and with plus 195, Jeff Neal the underdog. Prates is a huge favorite in picks by the Tapology community with 91%, and most are predicting he will win this fight by a KO or TKO. And he's even a bigger favorite in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels with 87 out of 93 for 93.5%. And the best predictors, the best favorite and underdog predictors all pick Carlos Prates to win. For method of victory, we have 36 out of 57 channels picking Prates to win by a KO or TKO, or 63%. And only one picked Jeff Neal for a KO or TKO win. 0 channels went with a submission win, and for a decision win we have 2 for Jeff Neal and 18 for Carlos Prates. For the co-main event of the evening, we have a fight in the featherweight division between Lerone Murphy and Aaron Pico, who's making his UFC debut. And the newcomer, Aaron Pico, is the favorite with minus 180 and with plus 145, Lerone Murphy, the underdog. But the Tapology community disagree with the odds makers, and they have Lerone Murphy as a pretty big favorite with 78%. And most of them predict he will win this fight via decision. And also, most of the YouTube prediction channels go against the odds. And Lerone Murphy is picked by 64 out of 93 channels for almost 70%. And also the best predictors have Lerone Murphy as the favorite with 6 out of 8 and the best favorite predictors 6 out of 9. The only ones that agree with the odds makers are the best underdog predictors, and they have Aaron Pico, the underdog, as a favorite with 5 out of 9. For the method of victory predictions, we have 1 channel going with a KO or TKO win for Murphy and 6 for Pico. 0 channels pick the fighter to win by a submission, while most of the channels go with a decision win for Murphy with 37 out of 50 for 74%, and we have 6 channels going with a decision win for Pico. And here we see a big difference between the odds makers and the YouTube prediction channels. When we look at the odds for a decision win for both fighters, we see Pico with plus 130, but that is only picked by 6 channels. But a decision win for Murphy gives you much better odds of plus 240, but is picked by 6 times as many channels for 37 in total, versus only 6 for decision win for Pico. And then, for the main event, we have of course the much anticipated fight between Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight world title. And the favorite for this fight is Khamzat Chimaev with minus 250 in average odds and Dricus du Plessis, the underdog, with plus 195. In picks by the Tapology community, this fight is much closer, and 54% predict Khamzat Chimaev to win and 46% for Dricus du Plessis. And most of them predict a submission win for Khamzat Chimaev, and for Dricus du Plessis a KO or TKO win. But the YouTube prediction channels disagree with the odds makers and the Tapology community, and they have Dricus du Plessis as the favorite, although a small one, with 49 out of 95 channels picking him to win for almost 52%. But the best prediction channels on YouTube disagree, and almost all of them pick Khamzat Chimaev to win with 7 out of 8. The best predictors on favorite fighters and odds pick the favorite Khamzat Chimaev 6 out of 9. And the underdog Dricus du Plessis is picked by the best underdog predictors 3 out of 9. For the method of victory predictions, we have a total of 17 channels out of 54 going with a KO or TKO win for Dricus du Plessis. For a submission win, we have 5 channels going with Dricus du Plessis and a total of 24 channels for 44% going with Khamzat Chimaev. And for a decision win, we have 5 channels going with Dricus du Plessis and only 3 channels for Khamzat Chimaev. I think one thing is pretty interesting when we look at the KO and TKO odds for both fighters, because according to the odds makers, the second most likely outcome for this fight is Khamzat Chimaev to win by a KO or TKO. But we have a total of 0 channels going with that method of victory. While we see a lot of channels, a total of 17, going for a KO or TKO win for Dricus du Plessis, which gives you odds of plus 535. And for the last part of this video, we'll have a look at some good potential betting opportunities. The first one is Chase Hooper. Although he is a very big favorite in average odds with minus 325, he is picked 100% by the best predictors and the best favorite predictors. But the odds are a lot better when you have him winning via submission, which is predicted by 38 out of 51 channels for 75% and has odds of plus 190, which is a lot better than the minus 325 moneyline odds. The next potential best betting opportunity on this card is Diego Ferreira. he is the slight favorite with minus 155, but is picked 100% by the best predictors and the best favorite predictors. And when we look at the method of victory odds, we have odds of plus 210 for a KO or TKO win, which is a lot better than the minus 155 moneyline odds and is picked by 39 out of 51 channels for 76%. Another good betting opportunity might be Carlos Prates. He has moneyline odds of minus 240, but is picked by the best predictors and the best favorite predictors 100%. But his method of victory odds are a lot juicier. A KO or TKO win is picked by 36 out of 57 channels and gives you much better odds of plus 108 on average, or even a decision win, which gives you plus 260 and is picked by 18 out of 57 channels for 32%. And for the last best betting opportunity on this card, we have Lerone Murphy, who is the underdog against Aaron Pico with plus 145. But he is the favorite by the best predictors with 6 out of 8 for 75%. And when we look at the method of victory predictions, we see that 37 out of 50 channels or 74% pick him to win via decision, which gives you odds of plus 240, which is of course better than the plus 155 moneyline odds. Hope you enjoyed this overview of all the fight picks. If you found it helpful, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel while getting exclusive updates, consider becoming a Patreon supporter or a member on Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you so much for watching, have an awesome weekend, enjoy the fights, and I will see you in the next video.